What's up, y'all? A wonderful Monday. Today, it is bright and early. Most places it's probably about 4:30 a.m. And I just want to say what's on my mind to talk about is worldly principles versus biblical principles. Let's start with worldly principles. Worldly principles get you that 9 to 5. Worldly principles get you that money. They get the bills paid. They get you on vacation. Worldly principles gets the job done, although the quality might not be as great. The quantity is. Worldly principles are more populated. They're more approved. They're more of the status quo. Now, biblical principles get you living righteously. Biblical principles is what the Bible says to live by. Biblical principles sometimes feels like a loss, even though we are encouraged through biblical verses and parables that the first shall finish last, and the first shall finish last, and the last shall finish first. Biblical principles do not feel like a reward. They feel like sometimes punishment when you put biblical principles into play. Now you may say, well, what's a worldly principle? Then what's a biblical principle? Well, I can name some, but I would encourage you to just pick that Bible up, as I said in recent videos, and read from Genesis all the way to Revelation. And I know I'm gonna mess up the name of this book. I'm almost done with the Bible after reading it for 8 years straight. I just finished Titus. I'm in Philemon, 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 Philemon. I'm in the book of Philemon, Philemon, Philemon. You know what I'm saying? However you want to say it. I think it's really Philemon, Philemon. You know what I'm saying? And which is a short book. And right after Philemon is Hebrews. And why I say worldly principles. Okay, I'll just give you an example. And I said I won't. So a worldly principle may be you working what pays the bills, right? And learning how to put what pays the bills first because you need what you need. A biblical principle, although somebody can find a word, a man don't work, a man don't eat, a biblical principle may question the work that you do. If the work that you do does not align with bringing people closer to the Lord, then you're not actually doing the work the Lord called you to do. You're doing what gets the bills paid. And so where it gets messy sometimes is, and this isn't opinionated, y'all. This is actually in the Bible. Where it gets messy sometimes is what we put as our God in our life shows. You get what I'm saying? Because the Bible gives examples of how to follow those 10 Commandments, of how to be more like Christ. The Bible gives examples of what to consider, what God will consider being upright versus being wicked. You get what I'm saying? So, an example of a biblical principle, as I said, just uplifting the Lord, them 10 Commandments pretty much. Them 10 Commandments, how to deal with, you know, um, honoring your mother and your father, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not bear false witness, and then the rest of the Bible gives you how to not do those things. And even when you do those things, this is why there's a big uproar with the New Testament. When you do those things, when you fall short of not doing those 10 Commandments, you know, it doesn't mean I would think that you're going to hell. But I think the New Testament more so gives you how to live, which could make it more simplistic on how to uphold those 10 Commandments. But see, upholding those 10 Commandments don't get the bills paid. It don't build you an inheritance. A lot of that. So what do? Here's one solution. Just do what the Lord called you to do and do more of it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where somebody like me benefit. benefits is that if I just do what God called me to do, you know what I'm saying, like make this video, but talk about things that's important. If I just do what God calls me to do, then everything should be added to me. That's also biblical. But, I don't have to quote the Bible to anybody. We can all go read it for ourselves. Just read it from Genesis all the way to, I'm going to Philemon, Philemon. I'm going to get it right, Mon. But just read the Bible from front to back. And, whatever you come up with, I'm pretty sure that's what God will want to convict your heart about. And that's what you work on. Right now, what I'm working on is being slow to give or take offense. That's part of the church covenant, but I'm pretty sure one of the verses, probably in Proverbs or somewhere in Timothy, it talks about how to respond to, wickedness. Somewhere in that Bible, I've read it. We can just use Psalms 59 and 1. I love the fact that D1 and BG have a song out now where it talks about delivering me from my enemies, because when I was in college, my first year, I actually had the jersey number 51, and I turned to Psalms 51, a red verse run, and it says, deliver me from those that rise up against me. You know what I'm saying? Deliver me from my enemies, I'm sorry. Defend me from those that rise up against me. So that is an example of how I can be a better person to carry out those 10 commandments, because if you take matters in your own hands, somewhere in those 10 commandments, it says something about being blasphemous. You know what I'm saying? And if it doesn't, it killing, I think it say thou shalt not commit something, but when I find it, I'll put the one that I'm thinking about that's in relation to murder or being blasphemous. But yeah, hope y'all have a great Monday. Keep it there.